Hi everybody! I am going to make another fall dish today, and I'm calling it Rainbow in a Bowl because there's lots of colors. Did you ever hear the expression, you've got to eat the rainbow? Well, we're using all the colors today in our recipe, and it's going to be really delicious and really nutritious. So I want to start first on the part that would take the longest if you were making it from home. I kind of have things prepped ahead, but we're going to start by roasting some vegetables. So I'm going to show you a few things that I have here. This is a half of a purple sweet potato. Have you seen these? I'm going to leave the skin on. It's got all kinds of good ingredients in it. I'm just going to cut that up. Look how pretty purple it is inside. Skin is on because you can eat that when it's roasted. It tastes really good and it's good for you. And I'm going to cut these. I'm going to cut them in half. I should have cut it in half first, but I'm going to get it to kind of bite-sized pieces. All right, next we have a carrot. This is, I don't know if you've seen these carrots, they come in all different sizes, but it's red, almost purple in places on the outside, orange on the inside. Again, you don't have to peel this. A lot of the nutrients are in the skin, so I don't want to peel it. I used a scrub brush, a vegetable brush, to just clean it really well. And I'm just going to cut that up. I'm going to go ahead and slice that in half and cut it in bite-sized chunks. I just think these are so pretty. I like to use pretty food. This one is a little bit too big. And there we go. Look at the multicolored. I just love that. I'm putting it on a plate for now because I have something else in the pan that I'm going to roast them in. Here is I think it's called a Chioggia beet. Red on the outside kind of looks like a normal beet, except it's a little lighter in color, but inside it's so pretty. This one you have to peel because, you know, the beet skin just doesn't taste good. It's interesting when you peel it, it's white on the outside after you peel it, but inside it's got this beautiful marbled color. You don't have to get every little bit of skin off, but most of it anyway. It's a little bit hairy in spots. They have these little, I guess they're part of the roots because beet is a root. You can also, if you buy these from the store where they have the greens still on them, any kind of beets, you can use the beet greens just like you would any other greens. Cook them down as a vegetable. But this one was just a loose beetroot. All right, so we got the skin off. Now we're going to chop it up. This one doesn't stain as much. Regular beets are so dark red it stains your fingers and your cutting board when you cut it. This one is not quite so much. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I just love the colors. It's like psychedelic. Looks like tie-dye beets to me. Just looks like, I don't know, something that you would invent in an art store, art project or something. All right, I'll cut the rest of that later. And then I also used some butternut squash when I made this last time, but this time I'm going to skip that part. I'm going to cut off part of, have you ever seen this? This is an orange cauliflower. They sometimes call it cheddar cauliflower, although there are different varieties that are called like orange burst and such. You notice I just cut off a chunk of it that I wanted to use. Then you can use your hands to break it up into bite-sized pieces. You don't have to chop it with a knife. It's easy to break. Now you might be wondering, is this genetically modified? Because you know I'm always talking about eating clean and eating things in their natural form. It's actually not genetically modified. It is a natural variety of cauliflower. It has more beta-carotene in it than white cauliflower, but otherwise many of the similar ingredients. There's also purple cauliflower that is higher in anthocyanins, and there's even a green one, like a sort of like a Kelly lime green color one. And they all have slightly different nutrients, but all very good for you. I'm just breaking this up into nice bite-sized pieces. Like I said, you could put some butternut squash. You could really use any kind of vegetables. And then you're going to put that in a pan I have one already made here that I roasted. I'm going to put it in a baking dish, drizzle it with some olive oil. I used garlic, sea salt, and rosemary, and I just roasted it in the oven about 400 degrees for, you have to kind of keep an eye on it. I actually covered it with foil for about a half an hour, and then I stirred it around a couple times and cooked it maybe for another half an hour. During that time I stirred it several times, and it comes out kind of toasty looking and really good. So this is going to be part of our rainbow bowl. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to start with a nice bowl of spinach. I mean, this is, you could use kale, you could use any green really that's good to be eaten raw. I just happen to have some spinach I wanted to use up, so that's the base for our rainbow bowl. Then on top of that, I have cooked up lentils and quinoa. Now I want to tell you a little bit about these. The lentils are just so high in fiber, protein, they're really good for you. These happen to be red lentils. You can see they have kind of like an orangey color. I saved these bags so you can see through the little window there. That's really good. There's all different colored lentils. You could use any kind of lentils or really any other kind of bean. You could use chickpeas in this recipe instead. I like to use what I have on hand, so the red lentils it was. When I cooked them, I actually cooked them down first. You don't want to put anything other than water in when you're cooking. But I cooked them down. It's 2 parts water to 1 part lentils. And you want to bring it to a simmer and then quickly turn it down and cook it on low. After it's cooked, then I added turmeric to it, which is a great anti-inflammatory spice, and some sea salt. And you can see, believe it or not, the turmeric didn't really add much color because it was already orangey yellowy. So I thought it was sort of funny because usually turmeric changes the color of foods that you make, but it didn't really make much of a difference because of the color of these lentils. I'm going to put that in there. And then this is red quinoa that I cooked. Here's what it looks like raw. Tiny little, they're actually seeds, but they're cooked like a grain. The ancient Incan people ate this as a staple of their diet. It's a great gluten-free substitute for rice or other kinds of grains, and high in protein, magnesium, fiber, antioxidants, really healthy, great thing to eat. Here's what it looks like when it's cooked. Kind of fluffy. Again, you have to rinse this before you cook it. You should do that with the lentils too, I forgot to say. But especially with the quinoa, it can be bitter if you don't rinse it, because the quinoa develops anti-nutrients. It's sort of a component that it develops to protect itself from animals eating it. So you want to rinse that off, and it tastes better that way. And you can then cook it, again, 2 parts water to 1 part of the quinoa. You could use broth of any kind. I just used water for this recipe, and then I added some sea salt after cooking again, and just mixed it in. So I'm going to put a good hearty helping of that in there. All right. On top of that, I need to get another spoon. I'm going to put some of these rainbow roasted vegetables. I've got the cauliflower, the blue, purple sweet potato, the funky carrots, the Chioggia beets. There's some butternut squash in here as well. Just pile it on. It's so good for you. This is a nice big bowl, but it's all healthy stuff. Next, I'm going to make a creamy cilantro dressing. Now, if you're dairy-free, you might be wondering, oh, I can't eat a creamy dressing. But you can, because this is creamy because it's made with avocado. So I have it all prepped over here, and we're just going to take a look inside this bowl and see what's in there, because I've prepped it and I'm just going to blend it. There's cilantro. It's a whole bunch of cilantro. I cut the very ends of the stems off, but part of the stems are still in there. And it's got avocado. olive oil, Himalayan pink salt. I've got some cloves of garlic, a little bit of honey, raw honey. I've got some apple cider vinegar, just a little. I've squeezed some fresh lime in there, and some olive oil. All of those ingredients are together in here, and we're just gonna blend that up. Let's see, I have to line up the arrows here. I love my blender. I don't know if you have a favorite blender, comment below and let me know what your favorite blender is. I think the kitchen tools really make a big difference in the success of your cooking. So here we go, we're just going to start blending. I can see that it's way too thick, so I'm going to add more olive oil. All right. How's it looking there? Yeah, it's kind of thick. Add some more olive oil. We could even use a little bit of water just to thin it a little bit, because we want it to be a dressing for our beautiful rainbow bowl. Let's see how it looks. Oh, that looks much better. It's kind of a creamy, delicious looking dressing. I'm just going to get a little spoon and I'm going to drizzle this right on top. I can't wait to try these flavors together. You could blend it longer and to make it even more smooth. Sometimes I'm impatient with my cooking, but I might blend that a little bit more. And then you also, if you wanted to, if you're not vegan or vegetarian, you could add some chicken on top of this, or salmon, or some other kind of protein. It is pretty high in protein though, because the quinoa is really high. It has, I think, 8 grams of protein for like a half a cup. And then the lentils have protein, and some of the vegetables do as well. So you don't have to do that, but if you wanted to, you could put some protein in there, and you've got yourself a superfood rainbow in a bowl. I hope you enjoy it. Have fun.